Hello and welcome to another episode of the Ferret64 podcast with me, your host, Yemmy the Ferret. Ferret64 is, of course, the one-stop shop for video game news, occurrences, first impressions, and so much more. And today we have a nice episode for you all. We got my gaming pickups from November because it's already that time again. I have a couple of things I've been playing this week, plus a surprise. We have some news regarding the Far Cry TV show, the new roguelite Let It Die Inferno, and more. And then, of course, we'll round it all out with our coming soon section where we got a new Balatro-type Scrabble game. Dying Light got an update. And there's a new Star Fox game inbound. Well, kind of. All that and more on this episode of Ferret64. That's pretty good. That's not too bad. I also would like to say congratulations to myself because this is episode 300 of the podcast. That is right. I've done 300 of these episodes. Now, I know there's been a couple of bonus episodes in there, so the count might not reflect 300, whether you're looking at it on YouTube's playlist or whatever, but this is number 300 of the regular episodes. Does this include Yemmy Cast, which was the podcast I did before this one? No. But if it did include that, we would be at 400 at this point. But yeah, I mean, it's been such a crazy journey throughout the years of doing this podcast. Lots of things have changed. I've changed locations. I've changed cameras. I've changed microphones multiple times. I've changed my room and redone my entire space. I added new things like the camera to the podcast episodes. I've started uploading them on YouTube and putting out clips on a Clips channel every so often. So, yeah, there's so much that I have done and grown with this podcast. And I hope, I do appreciate everyone who's been watching the podcast and listening to the podcast throughout the years. It's really meant the world to me. This is obviously like a huge time commitment, but it's also just a big hobby for me as well. I don't get any returns on the podcast or anything like that. So it's really just a passion project for myself. If it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere. I'm not expecting it to, but at the end of the day, I just want to give you guys the best that I can offer for video game news, video game takes, opinions, reviews, and more. So once again, I appreciate everyone who has been here watching and listening throughout the years, and here's to another 100 episodes, starting off with this one. Let's get into what have I picked up this past month. All right, we're going to start off with my new pickups this past month, and this one, they accidentally put the sticker that has your name on it for pickup. They accidentally put it like halfway on the plastic wrap, and like it was kind of torn, so like halfway on the game itself. So I had to kind of get some stickiness off of there. But most recently, I reviewed this last week. SpongeBob SquarePants Titans of the Tide. There it is. I own all of these SpongeBob games physically, and as I said last week, they do seem to be getting better and better with each entry, with this most recent one being a very fun platformer. I saw recently a review on like IGN that was like, maybe it wasn't on IGN, maybe it was Push Square, I don't remember, but they were like, oh, it's the same platforming formula. It really isn't. I mean, I guess like the basics of like jumping are the same, but it is a bit of a different experience. So cool. I like that. I like this, and that's all that matters. Okay, SpongeBob Titans of the Tide. There you go. This is a game that I picked up last month, but I forgot to show off because all my Switch 2 stuff is downstairs. That's Pokemon ZA. It's Pokemon ZA, Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Yeah, it is what it is. There's a nice little map of the city in there. I haven't finished this one yet. I'm going to try and finish it before the year is up because it's pretty fun. Next up is Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment. And I liked the case for this one. I liked the cover for it. But on the inside is blank. It's literally nothing on the inside. Which I was just kind of like, I opened up the case and I'm like, damn, that's kind of brutal in my opinion. So yeah, there you go, Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment. Kirby Air Riders. This, of course, came out this past week, a couple weeks now. And I talked about this one last week, and I will finish up my thoughts on it this episode. But there you go. That's all that's included in Kirby Air Riders. And then here is my surprise. Now, if you don't want to be spoiled, well, you probably already saw the title of the episode. I did end up getting Madden NFL 26, EA Sports Madden NFL 26 for the Nintendo Switch 2. This was something that I joked about doing, and you know what? I finally went through with it because it was on sale for Black Friday, and I said, you know what? That would be a fun little thing. So this is actually the first game key card game that I've purchased. Probably won't be the last, honestly, because there is maybe another game or so that I'll pick up like this. But yeah, Madden 26. I will talk about this game and the Switch 2 version in particular throughout the rest of this episode. Let's move on to some games that are new but older. This one is a limited run release that I knew I had to pick up. Even though I'm not a huge fan of the game, I just feel like this was a long time coming. And that is Octodad Dadliest Catch, physical edition on the Switch. Still sealed, of course. Probably will remain that way for the rest of its life because I've already played this a couple times on Steam. And in my most recent playthrough, I finished the game for the first time, and I was kind of like indifferent about it. I was like, it's fine, but I also like don't really enjoy it. But Octodad Dadliest Catch, there we go. This is a game that I already own on PlayStation digitally, but it was on sale for $10 Black Friday. And that is Crash Team Rumble. This is the Deluxe Cross-Gen Edition, which I don't really know what that means. But I don't even know if this game is still alive, technically, online. It's actually been, since the game came out, I think like I played it for about a week, and I said, well, there you go. That's that. But, you know, I've been wanting to collect all the Crash games. I have pretty much all of them physically. Except for, I think I still have to buy Crash 4 physically because I have that digitally. But at the end of the day, though, Crash Team Rumble, there it is. It was pretty cheap. And then finally, let's get into some older games that I picked up at my local used store and or eBay. First up, I bought this because I thought my disc for Black Ops 2 was not working. But I picked up Black Ops 2 physically for PS3 on its own. So I have a combo pack, and I have just a regular version of the game. Turned out to actually be a problem with the PS3. Well, I guess more so with the PS4, because if you can change your name, and that causes the game to crash when it's trying to load in your profile. So yeah, Black Ops 2, there it is. I'm actually okay with just having a physical version of this game because I like Black Ops 2 a lot. I think it's a great first-person shooter. As one of my friends on Discord would say, I love military propaganda, and we'll see that next month. Not that next month, but you know what I mean. Next up is a game that I was actually watching someone play online on a video, and it looked kind of fun. And that was Madagascar Karts. This one was only like a $10 game. And I don't own a lot of racing games because a lot of racing games are kind of like one and done for me. But Madagascar Karts, there it is, with King Julian. Yes. And I believe Bob is in this too. And there's a couple like secret characters. Yeah. Then finally for today we have a Wii U game, and that is Super Mario Maker on the Wii U. This is a pretty classic game. I mean, just the antithesis of everything that Mario or 2D Mario is and all that stuff. Coming down here, I believe it's missing the manual because all I have here is the like warning handbook or whatever. So I'm pretty sure it's missing the full manual. So I'll have to pick that up eventually. But it was a nice copy of the game, and I owned this one back in the day. I like getting games that I owned back in the day that I sold, and this was one of the ones I sold next to Star Fox Zero. And I had a lot of fun with this. I remember when back on my old YouTube channel, I put this at like number 5 on my top 10 games list that year. and it works so much better than Super Mario Maker 2. I feel like with the touchscreen controls and the Wii U and all that stuff. So this is actually a rare game that I would say is better on the Wii U, simply because it has the stylus and touchscreen functionality that the Switch 2 has. But I just feel like it feels so much better on the Wii U. So there you go. Super Mario Maker rounds out the what have I picked up this past week section. Let's move on to what have I been playing this past week. I can't wait to talk about Madden NFL 25 or 26 even. Oh man, this has been a long time coming, and I know it's not the hot topic, of the year. It came out a couple months ago now, but it was Black Friday. It was on sale for $30, and I said, you know what? It's time to pick this up and see what's going on with the Switch 2 edition. So yeah, this is going to be a Switch 2 only review because I'm not picking the game up also on PlayStation 5. I'm just going to review it on Switch 2. And this was something that I had kind of planned like a little bit ahead of time. I knew that the game was going to go on sale eventually, and it went on sale for like $10 about a month after it came out, and I said, no. We need a much better sale. So $30 sale, half off. I said, you know what? Put it on the Best Buy credit card. I'll get it for the $30. And then when I saw that the Switch 2 version was also on sale along with the PS5 version, because I had hearted or liked or whatever, saved the PS5 version, I said, it's time. It's time to, one, not only get a game key card, but two, review something that is multi-platform on the Switch 2. Because right now, I mean, the only things I've reviewed on Switch 2 are first-party games. Donkey Kong Bonanza, Kirby Air Riders, Hyrule Warriors, stuff like that. All first-party Nintendo games that have been physically on cartridge, and they only are available on the Switch 2. So it's kind of an interesting experience to finally play something that is multi-platform on the Switch 2. Now, I have friends who have also played games like Star Wars Outlaws and the Hitman games and all that stuff. Like, those games are all on the system, and they're of varying quality, of course. But I was kind of like, okay, so this, EA is kind of like known for porting games kind of shittily, and well, this one's not that bad, honestly. I think the main thing that you'll notice about this version of the game as opposed to any other version of the game is the fact that it takes 5 years for it to load in stuff, and I don't understand how. It's probably because they're using a game key cartridge, so it is just downloaded directly to your console. It's probably going to take a little bit longer to extract data from that, I suppose. But at the same time, like, I don't know, it just seems a little bit egregious to me that it takes so long to load things in. But at the end of the day, I do feel like after the loading period is done, actually, in all honesty, it probably takes about 1 minute to 2 minutes to load. Once the game gets started, it kind of looks like a PS4 version of a Madden game, and that was kind of a era of the games where a lot of it was, well, was good enough for me. Madden 18, Madden 16, and 17. I felt like those games were kind of the ones that I felt like I had the most fun with within that generation. And to play this game after playing the abysmal Madden 25 last year, that's the one with Christian McCaffrey on the cover. I said, I don't know if I'm going to play another Madden game for the rest of my life, but here we are playing Madden again. Now, I will say, at least I didn't spend $70 or whatever it is on this game. But you could also say, like, yep, I'm just a stupid consumer. I buy the shit, and I play it. So where do we start here? So yeah, the game, it pretty much runs and plays like a PS4 version of the game or Xbox One, whatever you desire there. It doesn't look bad, but yeah, essentially it's that kind of style that's like not next gen looking, but it's realistic enough. Like, there's details and like the tattoos on the players and their faces look modeled correctly, but it also has like that weird, like, I wouldn't say dead eye stare, but a lot of it just kind of feels like it's almost like they put the mask on the character and they're just doing the animations, sure, and they're doing. I mean, the animations look fine, but at the same time too, it's like anytime you get like an uncanny shot of like Josh Allen running onto the field or Aaron Rodgers running onto the field, and they just don't. They're lifelike enough, but it goes into that uncanny valley where it's like it definitely looks like they're robots taking the field. Like this is an android running onto a field, and he looks like Aaron Rodgers or he looks like Sam Darnold, right? And the same thing can be said for the coaches on the sideline when they cut to the coaches. And I don't know if this is the way it is in the PS5 or the Xbox version, but the coaches are very stiff. They go through their animation and they just look like it's a mask over an android at times. And it's just a bit uncanny. It's weird, and it transports me back to those days of playing these games on like the PS2 and the GameCube, and then you move over to the PS3 era, and they took things away from Madden in Madden, like what was it? It's the one with the the line. I think it was the Lions wide receiver on the cover. I think it was 13 or something like that. They took away a bunch of stuff from that, and then they slowly added it back in with the PS4 games. And I felt like Madden 18. I think that's the one with Tom Brady on the cover. And there was also one with Gronkowski on the cover that I thought was actually pretty good too. Those were kind of the ones that I played the most of, enough that I got the platinum trophy for 18. I'm pretty sure. And after that though, like I remember the one with Juju Smith-Schuster on the front, and that one I didn't even buy that one because I'm I'm a Browns fan, not a Steelers fan, so fuck the Steelers. But also at the same time, when that game came out, it was also during a time where I was kind of between jobs, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna skip this year's Madden because Madden 18 was good. I had my problems with it, but I thought that it was good. I played it to completion, and 19 came around, and I was like, well, there's a Steelers player on the front of it, so I don't care. And then the reviews came in, and it was like, this is the worst Madden of all time. This is a big step backwards for the series. And I was like, okay, good thing I saved my money. After that, though, I don't think I bought another Madden game until I didn't buy the one. I bought the one with both Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes on the cover, right? And then I also got the one with John Madden on the cover. But those were the only two I bought until Madden 25 came around. And then here we are with Madden 26. So, yeah, I cannot deny that I had a bit of like a pang of nostalgia when loading this game up and it looking like a late PS2, like maybe, no, not even late PS2, like a late PS3, early PS4 game, because those were the ones that I really dove into. I dove into them, and I felt that pang of nostalgia. And then the craziest thing happened the first time I loaded up this game. It took a while to download because it's a game key card. You put the game key card and it downloads the entire game to your console. Probably took about 30 to 40 minutes to download the entire game, which I thought was kind of crazy, especially because I have fiber internet and the Switch is not really that far away from my router, all things considered. So it downloaded. I loaded up the game. I went through all the fucking like NDAs and stuff like that, whatever it's called, UCLAs or whatever, the terms and conditions, right? And I boot up the game, and "Rollin'" by Limp Bizkit starts playing, rolling, and I was like, okay, let's fucking go, right? Like. It was the craziest thing ever. And then I looked through the list of songs that are on the game, and I was uncheck marking all the ones I didn't know, all the like these rap and hip hop artists, which I it's not like I hate them because I just don't listen to that kind of music. And in there is like Run DMC, let's fucking go. Weezer, Buddy Holly is in there. What the fuck? There was also like Metallica on there. There was just like a bunch of these bands that like I hadn't like really. I mean, I listened to a lot of these bands, but like Limp Bizkit has like 2 songs on there, and there was a couple other bands as well that I was like, oh shit, they have Foo Fighters on here, The Pretender. Like That's pretty cool. I haven't really listened to the Pretender since I stopped listening to regular radio back in like 2013, and it was just like, wow. Okay, so anytime I boot up the game now, it's playing one of these older like rock or metal tracks that I just kind of get hyped. They even have some newer stuff in there, like they have the new Linkin Park song from their reboot album with the new singer. They have a couple of other like harder bands on there, but it's not like super crazy. A lot of it is just like the rap and hip hop scene. But then there's also like 50 Cent in the club, and you're like, okay, like, hey, I'm not gonna sit here and like listen to the soundtrack for an hour or two, but it's cool to have those songs playing in the background while I'm flipping through some menus. So, of course, once you do get into the game itself, it wants you to play ultimate mode and all that stuff. It has you set your favorite teams and whatnot. I just skipped past most of it. I set my favorite team, of course. It didn't really affect anything that was on the menus. Essentially, it has like this B-roll of John Madden when he was coach on the Raiders and stuff like that. And he was just he's just in the background, doing his thing. They don't have like the Saquon Barkley hurdle from last year. They don't have like your team's highlights from last year either. It's just John Madden, and I found it very entertaining to have Rollin' being sung in the background by Limp Bizkit, and have John Madden up there, and he was like, there's one clip where he's like getting angry at a referee, and it was like rollin'. He's over there like shouting at a referee. I mean, the vibe was there. The vibe was there for me, and it's presentation does mean a lot in a lot of ways, especially with these simulation sports games. And I feel like the presentation for this one is fine. It's not like the most amazing thing ever, but it's fine. I think it has a good soundtrack to it, and I also think that the background footage of John Madden is a nice touch, but I would prefer them to take clips from your favorite team and put them into the background of the game instead. I think the College Football 26 did that, or they at least changed like the vibe of the menu. But it doesn't seem to do that for Madden 26, which is kind of weird. And it might be a Switch 2 limitation. I'm not sure. But that is my main qualm with that. I just feel like, they could have spiced up the main menu for your favorite team rather than just being like, hey, this is your favorite team? Okay, we'll automatically choose it for you, when you go to play Quick Play or something like that. And most of the time, you really don't want to play as the Browns on Quick Play, but it was the first matchup that I played. I played Browns versus 49ers, which is this weekend's game. By the time that I'm recording this right now, I don't know the results of that game. I'm expecting the 49ers to win, much like they did in the game that I played against them. But I felt like the game... it's funny. Last year, they made this big push for boom technology, like making sure that these hits, they feel good. There's less animations and more just reactive physics in the game. And once again, I don't know if this is a Switch 2 deal or what, but it seems like they totally forgot about the boom technology, and they focused on the coach intelligence or whatever, the coach sense. And the boom technology seems to be like taken out of the game because the hits that you do on these players just feel like animations again. And the same thing can be said for when you're receiving or catching a ball as well as being thrown. Like, it just feels like an animation again. And they probably added in more animations, but also like that whole like boom technology, which is just cringe to say in general. Like that whole thing, like at least like the one positive I can say about Madden 25, which you can go back and listen to that episode last year if you want to, was the fact that like the hits on the players felt more natural. It felt like there was actual impact there. I mean, you were hitting like a quarterback and the ball would just pop out, and the quarterback would have like a realistic fall or semi-realistic fall to the ground. Now it just kind of seems more of the same, where it's like, okay, you hit them, and there's a couple different animations for when you hit them, and sometimes you'll do the animation where you go to hit them with the hit stick, and you'll just kind of like slide off of them and roll onto the ground. And it's like, all right, I guess we're back to animations here being the king, because yes, they focused on coach sense or something, whatever they call it in this one. It's probably on the back of the game case. It seems like every year they have a new keyword or new like, oh, this is the new big thing. Oh yeah, it's the boom technology. It's coach sense. It's reactive. It's more impactful quarterback play, stuff like that. But yeah, this year it's the coach sense. So while you're playing the game, which I do find this to be pretty nice, is they'll have a blurb saying like Coach Stefanski was 4 for 4 on fourth down throughout this blah blah blah, and it'll give you a play that maybe they would have used for a fourth down conversion or whatever. Or I was playing as the Bills, and on fourth down, that was third down, and it had a blurb about like Coach McDermott will a lot of times do an RPO play or whatever for a third down conversion. So it had it had all the percentages and stuff like that. It kind of had all the EPA stuff that you kind of come to know, but it's inside the video game form. I thought that was nice. It has a little picture of the coach there. And then I played against the Giants. And you want to know what happened? I kind of lost a little bit of positivity about the game when it came up with a little blurb, and there was Coach Mike McDaniel from the what's his name? The guy who got fired. Drabel? Mike Drabel? Mike Drabel? Either way, the guy who was fired from the Giants, his face popped up. It gave the blurb for him. And then on the sideline, there he was on the field. Now, I get it. It takes a lot of work to put a person into a game, whether it be a coach, a player, etc. But also at the same time, this is Madden. This is the only simulation. Oh, excuse me. This is the only simulation football game out there, and at the end of the day, you should be updating this constantly to make sure that the rosters are accurate, that the coaches are accurate, etc., etc. I just feel like we should definitely be taking out the coaches who are fired, and you don't need to replace them with like a whole new character model for like the interim coach. You can just put a placeholder in there. I think that it would be completely fine, and you could still have the blurbs pop up about like, oh, when the Giants were playing with this coach. I feel like that's fine, but take out the profile pictures, take out the coaching, like the coach anime, just replace the character essentially, like they did with Bill Belichick for all those years. They just kind of replaced him with a stand-in coach, and I feel like they could do the same thing. Like coaches are going to be fired throughout the year. The Titans coach and the Giants coach have both been fired this year, and I'm sure that the Titans coach is still in the game. EA Sports is in the game. Well, yeah, the old coaches are still in the game. I feel like this is a bit of like, okay, we should definitely be updating the game more thoroughly throughout the season, because this is your prime time for people to be playing the game. They're playing the game during the season because it's football season. People love football. It's a huge sport, and they're going to be playing your one and only football game. So I think that should be updated a little bit more regularly and a little bit more vigorously in terms of getting out these coaches who have been fired and putting in placeholders at least. That's all I'm saying. Because they do a pretty good job of updating rosters as you go on. Like, for the Browns, Judkins is out this week, or well, he's questionable this week, so he's not in the Ford and Sampson are in the game instead of him. So it was a good updated roster. It had what I wanted to see. I guess the other thing to kind of just comment on is the fact that like the announcers in the game, like you have Greg Olson and his buddy, and they're fine, and I think most of the other like announcer duos are fine in the game. I think the main problem is that a lot of times they'll be very robotic with what they say because the voice lines are just playing when something happens. I cannot tell you how many times the same voice line came up for a third down conversion, or for when I got like a fourth down, I went for a fourth down or got a touchdown, and it's almost like it's even worse than usual in my opinion, because a lot of times they'll be like, that player or the team, and it's like, okay, like I feel like even like last year they had more specifics about players and teams, like Josh Allen with a rushing touchdown, wow, look at him go. But this year there's like a little recap at the midway through the game, and they'll be like, this player did really good. It's like, okay. And then in the same line of things, they'll also like halfway through the halftime will happen, and they'll have like some little highlights from the game, and it's like, that's nice. But then the commentator who is doing the highlights says the same thing like the 3 times that I played the games here. He said the same thing where it's like, we'll have to see which team gets momentum and which team loses it. And it's like, I'm winning by 26 points. Huh? So, yeah, for the most part, there's a lot of things that I do enjoy about this version of Madden, but it still has the old tropes and the old criticisms that I have for the series in general, like Ultimate Team being just so present on the game, and these announcers like not talking about specifics. I mean, this is your premier simulation football game. Like, you should have better announcing lines for the matchups. I don't like the game knows when Josh Allen throws the ball. The game knows when a wide receiver like Devontae Adams catches it. But instead of saying Adams with a great catch, they'll say number 16 with a great catch, or wow, what a catch by that player. And it's like, huh? Really? I don't think it's for everything, but sometimes they will do that, especially for the lesser known players in the league. But like, then again, like I threw a ball to Fannin, who was a tight end for the Browns, and it's like, how do you not have his name in your system? Like, I even threw a ball to David Njoku, and they were like, wow, what a great catch by the tight end. I'm like, this is not just the tight end. This is David Njoku. He was an All-Pro last year. Like, hello? So, yeah, whatever. The other modes in the game, there's like a gauntlet mode, a training mode, and stuff like that. It's all the normal stuff. Didn't really get into that. It is a bit awkward playing with a Switch 2 controller as opposed to an Xbox or a PlayStation controller. I have to kind of relearn how the game works, on all honesty, because the button layout is just a little bit different. So it has been a little bit interesting, like choosing the wrong play because Y is not where Y is on the Xbox controller, or the triangle is on a PlayStation controller. So it's been a little bit interesting choosing the wrong play or throwing to the wrong receiver. There's been a couple of moments like that, but that's just me like having to relearn the controls essentially. The other thing that I would like to point out before ending off this game is the fact that I have done a couple of times where I throw a kind of like a Hail Mary pass, throw a big pass down the field, and it seems like 4 out of 5 times the receiver will just drop the ball no matter what. And this happened to me a couple of times here where I'll do a giant bomb play. The receiver will turn around and have the ball in his hands, but as he's bringing it in, it just drops. And I know, I get it. A lot of wide open passes in the actual league go this way too. But I feel like in the context of a video game, this probably shouldn't be happening as often as it does. The other thing that I would like to mention as well, much like with, I don't even remember, what was the last game I talked about? College Football 26? No, College Football 26 was a major step down. 25, I guess, and the last Madden. When you're doing a screenplay, the people who are blocking for you will actually block the players, so that's nice. It's something that has kind of been a problem with screenplays for quite a long time in Madden. I think they fixed that in 25, so it's good to see that they kept that up in this one. So, all in all, NFL Madden NFL 26, EA Sports Madden NFL 26. I mean, I'm not going to tell you to go out and grab that right now, especially on the Switch 2. Like, the Switch 2 version is definitely a downgrade from any other version of this game, but at the same time, it did fill me with a bit of nostalgia. It has a great soundtrack to it. I think the game plays relatively well, all things considered, and for a simulation football game, I feel like it's more of an arcade experience, which there is a setting for making the game more arcade experienced, which might make the game a little bit better for me personally, because I'm not like huge on simulation games and realism in games, so I might switch it over to arcade just to maybe see if it does make a big difference. Like maybe I will catch a couple of those big bomb balls down the field. I don't know though. I don't know. We'll see. At the end of the day though, I did have some fun with it. I wasn't like super crazy angry about the game. I felt like the quality was fine. I think the overall feel of the game was fine. I think it's better than last year's Madden. I think it's better than College Football 26 that came out earlier this year. And with all that being said, I can't recommend the game, though. I definitely can't recommend it because there's just too much that is still being carried over from past experiences, past games, that they aren't either fixing or touching up or anything like that. And I think the main thing here that's kind of the hindrance for me to fully recommend it is like the announcing crew. It just really feels robotic, and the animations on the Switch 2 version, at least, feel very much like an automaton trying to be a quarterback or trying to be whatever. And like during the game itself, it looks fine, but that's because this is like a sliding the different players doesn't really make a difference. But where it does make a difference is when they're walking onto the field in a cinematic or something like that. All in all, I was thinking of giving this one like a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's a slightly above average Madden experience. It's not going to knock your socks off, but it is relatively just average enough that it kind of boosts it above the other Madden experiences that I've played recently with Madden, of course, 25 being the most recent one, and the college football games as well. I feel like, yeah, it's good enough, which might be good enough for the developers and the publisher and the other people who are playing this game who are loving this game. But for me, good enough is not technically good enough. And I would rather them work on the game even harder for next year, or hell, I don't know, maybe do what I've been suggesting all along, which is make a game, make it last 5 years, paid roster updates for the new season for $20, make your money, and don't have to like rework on a game for an entire time. Like through those 5 years, have a team working on this one, and then have a team working on the next one, and put out that next game with a new engine, new graphics, everything just solid. And I would be okay with that. But no, with this contract that they have with the NFL, they got to release a game every year, and it's got to sell like hotcakes every year. It's going to sell like hotcakes every year. This year, I feel like a lot of people decided not to buy the game right away, and they still re-up their contract for exclusivity with EA. And that just kind of goes to show, like, it doesn't matter how we vote with our wallets or how the review scores look for these games. It's just going to keep being re-upped for EA Sports, and I just feel like nothing's going to ever change drastically. And when things do change, like the boom technology, it doesn't stick around. And then they'll probably make up a new word for the same technology in like 4 years and say like, oh, this is our best ever tackling animations. This is our big focus for this year is the tackling animations. And it'll be called like the BAM technology instead of the boom technology. And it will be the same thing. And then the next year they'll do Coach Sense. That's our new Coach IQ. Life is a revolving door that never has an exit. Okay, let's move on to Kirby Air Riders. I recently played and finished this game on Thanksgiving, actually. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I forgot to say that at the beginning of the podcast. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I had a pretty good Thanksgiving myself. So, yes, Kirby Air Riders is the latest and greatest in the Kirby Air Rider franchise. I gotta say, I just wasn't really into this one, and I think you can kind of tell that with last week's first impressions. It just really wasn't speaking to me the same way that the original Kirby Air Riders did. And I don't know, it's probably because I played that game when I was like 12 years old, and now I'm 32 years old, and I kind of want something more in my racing games, and a lot of racing games do kind of go the same way for me, whether it be Mario Kart or whatever, where it's like, okay, I play a couple rounds and then I just start to feel bored because it's a lot of the same thing over and over again. You might have a new track, you might have some different twists and turns in there, but at the end of the day, it really is just like a very standard racing game. Yeah, I kind of misspoke there, and I don't want to take it out, but also at the same time, like, it's not a standard racing game because they did change things up. You have the attacks, and you have the sucking in the enemy and taking in their power or shooting it back out, and you also have the city trials mode and stuff like that. Like, there is a lot of things that are unique about this game, but at the end of the day, it's really just like holding forward, not even holding forward in this game, letting your cart go and turning on the corners in the right way. And yeah, I think that in general it is enjoyable, and I did have some fun with it. But like, there was a point where I was playing the story mode, and I had gotten past like 3 levels in that, and I was like, man, feeling kind of bored here. Like, there's really not much going on. And it doesn't help that the beginning of the story mode, like, it's essentially an RPG almost, where you build your character. But if you fail, you gotta start over. But you just build your characters, different stats, and you eventually just fight the big bad boss at the end of the game. And I was 3 levels in of like 10 races, and I was like, holy crap, this is getting boring. And, well, I guess races is not the right word, because there's actually a lot of different things you can do during the single-player mode. There's a lot of little mini-games like break the box, or hit as many enemies as you can, or race your rival to the finish, and time trials, and dodging the lasers. And there's a lot of different things you can do during the story mode. It's all random chance, of course. You also find new machines to ride. You find upgrades and stuff like that to get for your character along the road as well. But the hands-off approach to this game, I think it does kind of hinder it a little bit. And also the ease of playing the game compounds with the easiness of the game. I think I only had to restart a challenge like 3 times throughout the entire like 10 rounds that you have to do on this little like rainbow road type thing that you're gliding across. And there's so many of those things that just kind of play the same, even though it's a little bit different. Like break the boxes is pretty much the same thing as hunt down the thieves. Like it's pretty much the same. And then also there's find the key and go to the chest. Like they're all kind of the same idea. Press the buttons or get the food. It's kind of the same idea. You're pressing buttons or you're grabbing food. Like and some of the things are cute, like gourmet race, where you race around the track and try and get as many food items as you can, or more than your rivals. It's like, that's fine. And like the whole rival battle system is pretty cool too, where you have to take out all the rivals on the racetrack. But at the end of the day, it's all so easy because everything just happens for you, other than your special ability, which you press Y for. Ooh, but everything else just kind of works on its own. And it just makes for a kind of a mundane experience. Then I'm looking for something a bit more hands-on with my racing games. That's why I would much rather go back to Mario Kart World, even though I did also I rated that one a little bit lower than most people because I felt like the game lacked in a lot of areas. And honestly, I feel more justified than ever with my 3.5 rating for that game, because I was expecting them to at least update the game a couple times, add some more characters or add some more maps by now. Nothing. They've been silent on that front. So I kind of feel justified with that rating, and also I feel even more justified with really getting on them for that $80 price tag. Nevertheless, so Kirby Air Riders, I feel like there is a lot of passion put into this game, obviously. I think there's a lot of time and work put into this game, lots of great animations, the graphics look good as well. All the different game modes are there that you want, but a lot of the game modes just don't really feel complete. Like Kirby Air Ride, like the top-down version is just very basic. It's really a nothing burger there. There's also the regular race mode, and it's like, yeah, the regular race mode is fine. There's a good amount of tracks to drive on, but at the same time, like, I don't know if I want to fucking play another round of this. Like, I don't even have friends who have this game right now because they've all been like, well, I got Mario Kart World, and I don't feel like spending the money on Kirby Air Riders because Metroid Prime 4 comes out. But at the end of the day, I also don't feel like I would really want to play this game any more than I already have, even if I did have friends playing it. So it doesn't even matter at the end of the day. Like, it's one of those things where I really, really was having quite a boring time with this game. But then I played the City Trials mode. And I was still pretty bored. I'm not going to lie. I think the mode is fun. Don't get me wrong. It's a fun mode. I enjoyed playing 1 or 2 rounds. But I also wasn't really into it. And it's crazy because when I played Kirby Air Ride, the original game on the GameCube, I thought the game was amazing. I really enjoyed it. I didn't like it more than Double Dash, and we kind of have history of repeating itself right now. But at the same time, I thought it was a really cool, fun, unique kind of racer, and it kind of takes a minute to really understand the controls and wrap your head around how the game works. For this game, they do lay it out pretty simply for you, and a lot of the tutorials are just like, go close to enemy, and it will automatically be attacked. And it's like, okay, yep, yeah, that's fine. It's fine. It's all fine. So, at the end of the day, Kirby Air Riders. I finished up the campaign, played all the other modes that I wanted to. I did every single tutorial, by the way, when I started the game. I will also say that the ending of the Kirby Air Ride road, what is it called? The air road, whatever that the story mode, whatever that's called. I did like the final boss for it. I thought it was pretty cool, but also at the same time, I wish there was more like that, because the rest of the bosses in the game are pretty easy. Like they don't really do much of anything, or if they do stuff, they're pretty easy to take down at the end of the day. But the final boss for the game was pretty cool. You had to like take out multiple sections of this giant machine, and I thought that was kind of cool. I like that. I like that idea a lot. Anyway, I ended up giving Kirby Air Riders a score of 3 out of 5. I could not justify putting it up to 3.5 because it's definitely not as enjoyable as Mario Kart World, and I kind of justified that by playing a little bit of Mario Kart World, and I said, "Yep, the knockout mode kind of beats anything that Kirby Air Riders has inside of it, in my opinion," and that is that. All right, I've been forgetting to talk about this game for the past couple of weeks, so please forgive me. I bought King of Meat. It was on sale for like $7 or something like that on Steam, and that sale happened. It's like a whole month's worth. I think it was all the way through like October. It was at that price tag, and yeah, I've been forgetting to talk about it because it's kind of been on the back of my mind with the newer stuff coming out and whatnot. And King of Meat is like this Fall Guys inspired game where you go through obstacle courses that are made by people, and you try and get as much treasure as you can and finish the level. That's pretty much the main gist of it. And there's different levels of the tournament. So you start off in a beginner tournament bracket, and then you go to like what's it called? See, it's been too long. I can't remember the specific name. So you go to the next tier, and then there's one more tier after that, which is like the veterans mode or the superstar mode. But essentially, what you're doing is you're playing as this like little goofy character who is trying to become famous, and to become more famous, you need to do things during these levels, like collecting gold, killing enemies with combos, unique combos as well, and of course being first to the podium. You do want to work with the other players too, so it's not like an all free-for-all type thing, but you also want to try and make it to the end as fast as you can, and make sure you get the most points so you can level up your battle pass, of course. The nice thing is that the battle pass in this game, at least the one that is like the regular one, is free. Everything on there is free. You go through those, you get extra cosmetics, you get different game modes, stuff like that. There's also plenty of cosmetics that you just need to use the in-game money for, so you don't even have to buy them. I do know that I believe there is a store where you buy like purple coins or whatever to buy special outfits, but the regular outfits are fine, and the customization on your character is actually pretty nice. You not only can you buy new cosmetics for your head and your body and your feet, and also new skins for your weapons, but you can also use like these stickers and like little cardboard cutout type looking things and place them all around. And then also you can have like a background. You place things on your background like graffiti and stuff like that. So I think all in all, I think that the customization is pretty nice in the game, and I think that the game also has a pretty fun concept to it. Now, is it going to have longevity like Fall Guys? I don't think so. I think that the sale here that they did was a bit of a last-ditch effort to try and get a large group of people to play the game and hopefully stay on the game. And maybe that'll work. Maybe it won't. I guess only time will tell. But I have already seen a noticeable drop of people in like the hub area. And maybe it's just because of the time of day that I was on or whatever. But I also have kind of fallen off of it a little bit simply because I've been playing other things like Once Upon a Katamari and Air Riders, and I've even, I'm Madden, of course. So, and instead of playing King of Meat with friends, we've been playing Battlefield 6 instead, because it's like, there's more going on with Battlefield 6, of course. Although that game does have its fair share of annoyances as well. So, yeah, I think that King of Meat, it's a pretty fun little concept, and I think it does what it wants to do pretty well. The only thing, though, is that, it has kind of the same problem as Kirby Air Riders, where you play one map or a couple of maps, and you kind of see what the game has to offer. And it doesn't really do much more than that, other than it's really just limited by the creativity of the player base, of the people making the levels. And of course, they have official level makers and stuff like that. But we've played a couple of maps that are very unique, very very cool. And then we've played a couple of maps that are like, well, this is a pretty basic jaunt through this hallway here. And I think that there is like a general level of quality that King of Meat strives for with their fan or not fan made but player made levels. And I do think that any level that you get in the game is going to be curated and well made. You can't just get like a one room kind of deal going on. So I do like that they have quality control there. But also at the same time, like Fall Guys, they did it first, right? Like everything that King of Meat does, Fall Guys did it first, and I feel like Fall Guys did do it a little bit better. The one main difference with Fall Guys and King of Meat is the fact that King of Meat has combat in it, like 100%. Like you can swing a sword, you can shoot a bow and arrow or a crossbow. You can also have a mallet and brass knuckles and stuff like that. So there's like enemies you need to defeat as well as platforming challenges to overcome. And the game is a bit stiff in the control sense of things. Like it's not like the most fun game to mess around with and control, but also at the same time, it is still pretty fun to play. It's just it feels a bit stiff with the combat and the moveset and stuff like that. And I felt like Fall Guys was a lot more loosey goosey. I think Fall Guys as a platformer felt a little bit better than King of Meat. And I haven't played Fall Guys in quite some time, so this is coming from just like me remembering the game from a couple years ago, last time I played it. And the game is much more, I don't know, just a little bit more stiff, King of Meat is. And the graphics aren't as joyful and colorful as Fall Guys either, but I also feel like the game is a lot less monetized than Fall Guys is now, and there's a lot more there's a lot of stuff you can do that's just like basically for free essentially. So that is also a nice thing because you're already buying the game, so they better put in some free stuff for you. Some of the other things of note is the fact that Mr. Beast, yes, Jimmy Beast, teamed up with this game. There's a whole Beast tournament where I don't think he made the levels, but he endorsed them, I guess, at some point. And so you have like a whole Beast tournament, and the levels aren't any different than the normal levels. It's so weird. I think there's a couple of like Beast logos on the customizable stuff. But other than that, like it's really just a very baseline, like I'm Mr. Beast and I endorse King of Meat kind of deal. And I would say that would probably bring in a boost of players, but of course they're not going to stick around. Like Mr. Beast isn't actually playing the game. It's much like just like with PewDiePie going to D Live, if you remember that. D Live was a live streaming service that picked up PewDiePie for like $100 million or something like that, and had him stream on there for a full year. And then once the full year was up, PewDiePie was like, "All right, I'm out," and everyone else left with it. So D Live kind of died. Well, I think the same thing is kind of here, where it's like Mr. Beast endorsed this. He probably had like a commercial or something, or some sort of spot in his videos where he's like, "I'm a part of King of Meat with the Beast games." And then he never talked about it again. So those players are like, well, this was fun, but time to move on. And I do feel like King of Meat is not a game that's going to be around for years to come. I think that it is really going to be like a flash in the pan type thing, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, like it's still fun. I'm enjoying it. My friends are enjoying it who had it or have it. And I just feel like, after a couple of rounds, it's like, I'm kind of done with this. Getting kind of bored here, That's kind of how I feel about it right now. Almost the same thoughts as Kirby Air Riders. I haven't like finished it per se, but if the year is up and we haven't played the game again, I'll probably just mark it as complete and move on, or not complete but finished and move on. King of the Meat. I'm gonna give it like a thumbs up, but if it's on sale, right? I bought it for $7. I feel like I got my money's worth for $7. But if you buy it for full price for like $30, like that's kind of outrageous in my opinion. Real quick, we're going to finish up the games that I played for Bunger Month. November is already up, folks. It's pretty freaking crazy, but Bunger Month is all done. Officially, by the time that I'm recording this podcast, it is all done. And we had a nice final week of games. So I finished Killzone on Monday. This is a PS2 classic, I suppose you could say, the OG Killzone game. It was a pretty fun time, very campy and over the top as well. Like they were trying to be really serious about things sometimes, but the voice actors were really hamming it up, and like the Hellgast voice actors were like going all out with their lines. I think that kind of elevated the experience for me because a lot of these modern games, they're all super serious, and or they'll have like the quirky character in the background. But this game was like so serious that it was goofy, and at the same time, like it was also over the top and bombastic, and like all the enemy lines are like just crazy. Just crazy dialogue and stuff like that, where they're screaming and yelling and saying things, and your characters also say a lot of things as well. A lot of times they'll just repeat voice lines over and over and over again in the row, and it's like, I get it, nice shot, I get it, dude. But I think in general, like the story was fine. I think the gameplay itself was pretty fun. It's obviously it's the original version of Killzone, and it doesn't have much substance to it in my opinion. Whereas like you play something like Killzone Shadowfall, right? Shadowfall. And it's got a lot more going on with the story. It's got a lot more gameplay mechanics in there. Pretty much Killzone 1 is essentially just like, here's a level, shoot everything in sight, move on. And that is exactly what you do throughout 90% of this game. There's a couple of boss fights mixed in there, maybe a couple like plant the C4 type things going on, but yeah, it was kind of just like, okay, there you go. The unique thing about this game was there was multiple characters to use at least, and each of them kind of had their own little arsenal to choose from. Like the first guy has like an assault rifle and a pistol, and he's kind of like the leader of the squad. Then you had like this special agents girl show up, and she had like a submachine gun that was silenced for whatever reason, but it could shoot farther and more accurately than most guns in the game. And she was also good with snipers apparently. Then you had Rico, the best character in the game, by the way, and he has a minigun that has 700 bullets in it that does not need to be reloaded, which was awesome. His only downfall is he can't climb ladders. Oh well. And then the last guy came in. He was like a Hellgast spy, or he was a spy. He was spying on the Hellgast. And I don't know what his special things would have been. He seemed to just have like a regular gun anytime I looked at him. I mostly stuck to Rico after I had Rico because he was such a badass character, like unironically just a badass character. So yeah, I think the original Killzone, it's campy, it's fun. The level design is a bit monotonous at times. It does feel like you're going through like the same environments or the same type of level over and over again. But also, like, for a first try at a Killzone game, that's not too bad at all. It's not bad at all. So, at the end of the day, I'm giving this one a 3.5 out of 5, and I say if you have a PS2 or if you have a PS3 with the classics version of this game, try it out. You may be surprised, or not. Or not. We also played Captain America Super Soldier on the Xbox 360. And this was an interesting one because it is pretty much just Batman Arkham Asylum, but it's Captain America. And to some of you, that might be a cool thing. To some of you, that might be like a head-scratchy moment. It is a bit different from Arkham Asylum, but it has like the same idea where you're third person playing as a hero character. You have a combat system that is much like Arkham Asylum where you do a few little tiny combos in there. You press a button to counterattack or dodge or do regular strikes or whatever. And then you also have special moves you can do. You can throw your shield around willy-nilly if you want to, like all that cool stuff. The only thing the game does not have is stealth. Like there is a couple of times where you go up behind an enemy and you tap them and then you do a knockout punch on them, but most of the time you're just going into a room, you're fighting all the enemies there, and then you're finding all the collectibles sitting around. And that is the other thing about the game. There are way too many collectibles in this game. Holy shit. You collect files to get XP, you collect film reels, you collect blueprints for the enemies, you collect ceramic eggs, you collect Prussian helmets, you collect gold statues, you destroy statues in the game, you destroy objects in the game. You need to destroy 500 objects in total to finish that side quest. There's also other collectibles, beer steins. It's like there's just so many things. And of course, they all give you XP, so it's like there's a reason to do it, but also at the same time, like, this is too much. Like, the 50 ceramic eggs was a giant meme on the channel, and there is no correlation between Captain America and ceramic eggs. We looked, We could not find anything. You collect all the ceramic eggs, you get a big XP boost and an extra file for your lore snippets, and that's it. There is no ceramic eggs mentioned whatsoever throughout the entire game and the entire run of Captain America, whether it be in comic books or movies. He has never once picked up a ceramic egg and went, "Wow, ceramic egg." That's never happened. Okay, I don't know where they got the idea for ceramic eggs. Maybe it's just because you're in this big, like, what are they called? I almost called them Hellgast. Hydra. This big Hydra castle, and maybe Hydra has a fixation with ceramic eggs. I don't know. And I really don't care at this point. It was just too much. Also, the platforming in the game is very stiff as well. You're doing pole vaults and jumping off of things, and it's just like, okay, yeah, whatever. It's really a whatever type thing. And Captain America doesn't glide or anything like that, so it's very much like boots on the ground, fight the enemies in the area, and move on. But it does have like that Batman Arkham Asylum map layout where the whole map interconnects together, and you can, after the game is done, go back through and unlock shortcuts and find other collectibles and fight more enemies and stuff like that. So it's not all lost. It does capture that pre Captain America, Avengers, kind of Captain Rogers going on. This game is set before the events of the first Avenger, which is the original Captain America movie, and the first Captain America movie kind of okay in general, and this game is also kind of okay in general. It's like it's a bit of an above average game. It plays fine. The combat is fine. But there's a lot of things that leave a little bit to be desired. Like the graphically, I felt like it left a little bit to be desired. Enemy design felt a little bit to be desired. Boss encounters left a little bit to be desired. There's all these different things that's like, I like it, but also at the same time, I wish they had done more with it. I wish they had done more with the combat, more with the map layout, more with these, really actually putting in good collectibles. Like, I don't need to collect for 50 ceramic eggs, okay? That's all I'm saying. I don't need to collect 50 eggs. You know what I mean? So anyway, at the end of the day, I gave that one a 3.5 out of 5 as well. Also, on the same day that we finished Captain America Super Soldier, we played and finished Army Men Air Strike. This is on the PS1. This is a Army Men-inspired chopper game, and it's actually a very fun little charm of a game. Or gem of a game, yeah. It's charming is what I'm trying to say. So, back in the day, during the N64 era and PS1 era, Army Men were huge. Not just because they were in Toy Story, but for some reason, like, the games they took off. I've talked about Sarge's Heroes before. I really like that game on the N64. The PS1 version is fine, but the N64 version is where it's at on that one. With this one, I don't think it really matters. I think that both versions are probably good versions, and we played the PS1 version, and this one was fine. I thought it controlled pretty well. It's just kind of really funny to me that like they took like this whole like toy aesthetic and stuff like that, and they have like this brutal image of a. I'm looking at the picture right now. It's a soldier. It's a green soldier, like holding on to the edge of your chopper, and you're pulling away from a barbecue or like a grill, and he's melting into the grill. Like, that's brutal. The game doesn't have anything quite crazy like that, but it does have mutated bugs that talk to you. It has a giant robot final boss. It has rockets that launch at you with homing missiles. There's a lot in there that is kind of goofy and crazy, while also at the same time, it's very fun. It's very charming. There's a couple different choppers to use. There's a couple different co-pilots to have who have various different things going on with them. And, a lot of the level design was fine, but then there was also some levels that were a bit more unclear of the objectives, especially the final boss fight. I felt like they could have used maybe a little bit of nudging you in the right direction, but we ended up getting it done, so that's all that matters. I also really, really wish that the voice acting was better. Jim Cummings did all the voices for Sarge's Heroes, and he did not come back for this game. So you have a new main character called Captain, and the guy that they got with all the peace and love in the world could not voice act. He was very flat, and his lines felt like they were being read out of context, and it just didn't work out. A couple of the other characters in the game are fun. They have cool little voice actors with them. But yeah, the main character, who was supposed to be like the main fixture for the game, just kind of a bland bland guy. With all that being said, it was still a fun chopper game. I'm giving this one a 3.5 out of 5. Three of those in a row. We had a pretty good week until we finished, or we played and finished for the last day of Bunger Month. We played and finished Roundabout, which is a Kirby inspired game. You play as a limousine that can only drive in circles, and you're trying to get through these buildings and cars and stuff like that without getting hit too many times, or you'll explode and you'll have to restart at a checkpoint. But it was very forgiving. There was a lot of checkpoints, and it wouldn't put you that far away from where you exploded, and sometimes it would plop you right back where you were, or actually put you farther like through the level than where you were. They also set up the game like a open world as well, which I thought was fine, but at the same time, like, kind of annoying. It's like, why it doesn't even matter. I would rather have like levels designed specifically around the concept of a spinning limousine rather than having an open world that is kind of designed around that, but I digress. There's also like a jump button in the game, a spin faster button. They give you some extra like upgrades and stuff like that to go on water and whatnot. Really, I mean, it started off and I was like, okay, this seems fine. But as the game progressed, I got more and more bored and annoyed with it. And by the time we were done, I was skipping through the cutscenes and just saying like, I just want to get through this, please, for the love of God. So at the end of the day, I thought it had some charm to it. There's these FMV sections, the cutscenes for the game, where you have like a character in the back of the limousine and they're talking to you, and then you get the reaction of the lady in the driver's seat of the limousine, and it's like all very, it's all very fun, I guess. But at the end of the day, like, the game didn't grip me, didn't grab me at all, and the FMV sections became more annoying to watch through rather than fun. Also, the PS4 version on the PS5 doesn't run that great. Some of the cutscenes will just have no audio at all, but they'll still have like background music. It's such a weird glitch, and it's actually, I guess, a widely known glitch for the game. And even when you start the game, it does come up with that little pop-up saying, hey, some features for this game won't work properly. You might experience some game issues. And it's like, yep, I guess you do, don't you? So that was unfortunate. I'm sure if the FMV segments still had the voice acting, I would have been more apt to actually watch them all the way through. But at the end of the day, I just wasn't really having fun with the game. I thought that it was just kind of like a meh experience in general. I thought it was also way too easy. Like, it's not as punishing as the Kirin series. And yeah, at the end of the day, I gave it a 1.5 out of 5. I'm giving this one a thumbs down. I appreciate the ideas and for them trying to modernize I don't want to say the name of the game again, to modernize that game, but also at the same time, it was a swing and a miss in my opinion, and I just really wasn't that crazy about it. Let's move on to what's in the news. For episode 300, I really wish that I had more to talk about, and I already extended the first topic to its maximum, in my opinion. But yeah, this week just wasn't that big for news, and I think it's because it was a holiday week and not much was going on. But we do have an announcement regarding the Far Cry TV series. It has officially been greenlit from the same creators as Fargo and Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So on the Far Cry Twitter account, they said, remember when we said Far Cry stories always escalate? Yeah, FX took that personally. A brand new Far Cry anthology series is coming to Hulu with a whole new setting, a new cast, and the exact level of chaos your therapist told you to avoid. Good luck out there. So yeah, this is going to be coming to Hulu, and it's being helmed by Noah Hawley and Rob Mack, famously from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Noah Hawley is credited with the creation of Fargo, the TV series, Legion, and Alien Earth. So, I mean, I think that this is a good combo. You have a little bit of comedy, you have a bit of an action guy, and more, I guess, kind of like he has a bunch of, I can see he does have a few different styles there, but yeah, I think it's a good combination to have for a Far Cry game, because you kind of want it to be well written, but you also want to have a bit of like that humorous aspect to it as well. So they're pitching it as an action thriller comedy TV show. It's going to come to Hulu in the US of A and to Disney Plus, of course, as well, which I'm sure they're going to be combining Hulu and Disney Plus sooner rather than later, so it won't even matter that there's a distinction. We'll see how this goes. We'll see what setting they choose to use, and I'm actually pretty excited for this, Okay, Let It Die Inferno. This is the roguelike game coming from the same people as Let It Die on the original PlayStation 3. I believe that's where that game started out. And that was like a Souls-like ripoff kind of thing. It was a free-to-play Souls-like game, essentially, that was like MMO flavored or whatever. But Let It Die Inferno was supposed to be like this nice step forward for them, and it was supposed to be, a roguelite and having plenty of possibilities and fun characters. And then the Steam account got updated because the game is also launched on Steam, and Steam forces developers and publishers to let the people know what types of AI or if there was AI used in a game. So in the Steam section, it says AI-generated content has been used and then edited by our team for certain parts of the in-game voices, music, and graphics. Among the assets created by AI are background signboard textures, record illustrations, infocast videos, and voices and music. So it seems like, what's the human element of the game then? The taking these pieces of artificially intelligent designed media and editing it, quote unquote editing it, like. Man, the game, I already thought the game looked kind of weird, but, having them use so much AI in the game just willy-nilly, like, for everything, like, now I really just don't have any interest in it at all. And I'm sure there's some AI people out there who think this is going to be a really cool thing, and they're probably going to play the game and love it. And I hope they do love it. But for me personally, like, I just don't see myself spending money on something that was mostly done by AI. Like, I understand that there is a human element there who is taking these ideas from AI and editing them or whatever, but I don't know what the extent is. Like, how much of this game has been worked on by AI and how much has been someone there actually working on this stuff. We'll probably never know. But I think that it's the most shitty thing is replacing artists and replacing voice actors and replacing composers just with AI. Now you don't have a actor or actress making money doing a role for the game. You just have an AI voice that's trained off of other people. You don't have an artist putting their work into a game for record covers or pictures. You have an AI that was trained off of other artists. You don't have a composer in there making a soundtrack for the game. You have an AI making the soundtrack for a game that was, once again, trained by others. So after this, I don't see the game being successful, and this possibly could have sunk the ship for this game at this point, because I don't know if there was a lot of people interested in it in the first place. When they revealed that they were doing another Let It Die game, I was kind of like, okay, that's kind of cool, because I liked the original one. The original one was kind of quirky. They had the skeleton guy on a skateboard who was kind of like making fun of you the entire time, and I didn't finish the game, but I thought that like what I played was like fine, for a open, I don't know, like MMO type Souls-like game. But yeah, if so much AI is being used in this game, I don't see myself, if it is free to play, I don't see myself playing it. And if it's paid for, I definitely don't see myself playing it. So that's too bad. It's too bad. It's so sad. Let's move on. This one's coming from IGN. Ubisoft no longer plans to release a second Assassin's Creed Shadows expansion. The first one came out. It was a 10-hour-long expansion called Claws of Awaji, which was the major expansion in September. And now, after the game was delayed on the Switch, they decided that they will not be doing another DLC for the game, or at least another large DLC for the game. Now, they did partner up with Titan, Attack on Titan, which is a paid DLC, by the way, so it's not like free in-game content. You get an outfit and you get some weapons and stuff like that for each character. This was one of the big two DLCs that they had planned for the game, and I don't think the DLC sold well. Even though the game might have sold well, I think that a lot of people like myself bought the game, said it was fine, but then put it down when other things started coming out, and I don't really want to buy DLC for a game that I also did not play all the way through yet. So that's one of the many. I mean, I mean, I don't want to make excuses for the game. Like, if it sold well, it sold well, but I think that that's not the be all end all. Like, there's a lot of people coming out and being like, "Oh, where's all the people who love this game at?" Well, where's all the people who paid for this, who bought this game at? And it's like, well, I mean, the game probably sold pretty well anyway. But I think the fact of the matter is that, like, I mean, I don't see people buying the DLC for a game that, one, is not really amazing. I mean, it's a fine game, but it's not amazing. And two, like, I'm guessing a lot of people are like me who haven't even played through the entire game because it's a very kind of dull experience in my opinion. Like, the open world just really just doesn't feel it doesn't feel as flowing like Ghost of Yotei or Tsushima. It's just or even like Assassin's Creed Origins or even fucking Valhalla. Like, the world just doesn't feel as good as those worlds. And I get it. They started from scratch on this one, made a whole new engine for it. Like, I get it. There was a lot of work put into this game, but also at the same time, I just don't see it paying back dividends on DLC and in-game content when I think most of the player base has already decided to move on to other things. And I was planning on maybe coming back to this game before the year's up and just kind of like seeing if it's been improved or anything like that. But at this point, it seems like a bit of a far cry for me to even suggest that, because I know me, and I know that I'll say that, but then I just won't get back to it. And just as a comparison, Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey both had 2 expansion packs within the first year of release. Assassin's Creed Valhalla had 3 expansion packs within its first, I think, a year and a half of release. And then Assassin's Creed Mirage came out. That was a smaller scale Assassin's Creed that was originally supposed to be a DLC for Valhalla, but they turned it to its own standalone game, which was a good idea in my opinion, because I liked Mirage a lot. I thought that was a good game. So, yeah, that is pretty much that. I mean, they give some reasons for not doing a DLC. They're readjusting their year 2 and blah blah blah. But it's like, yeah, we get it. Like, I just think that the player base isn't there anymore, and I think that since launching the first DLC, I'm guessing the first DLC just didn't sell that well in September, and that kind of made them go, well, do we want to really put more work into another DLC for this, or do we want to start working on other things? And I think they're going to move on to other things. And we'll see how it all ends up there. But yeah, as of right now, though, the plans for a second DLC has been scrapped, and because of the delay of the game, not only the Switch 2 version, but the original version of the game, they took away the season pass. People got refunded for the season pass. So they didn't even re-up a season pass for this game. So at least there's that. They don't have to like deal with the fact that they might have sold a season pass with no content. All right, let's talk a little bit about Sledgehammer Games, who are working on a Call of Duty game, and they are looking for people with Switch experience for this. And it might just be like, hey, we're going to port over the latest game to the Switch or the next game to the Switch. But this does look good for people who own a Switch 2 and have been waiting for Call of Duty to come to the Switch 2 ever since they promised that Call of Duty was going to have a Nintendo platform game in 2022, and it's become legally binding in 2023, so they have to do it now. It's been, what, 3 years? Almost 3 years since then? Once the year turns, it'll be 2026, so they will have not actually given us anything on the Switch 2 for Call of Duty since that was happening. This is a 10-year commitment that they entered into with Nintendo, and this was a part of the plan to buy Activision and Blizzard, right? This was a big part of that deal where it's like, we have to bring the game to all consoles, all platforms, and the Switch 2 was the one that Microsoft, well, at the time it was Switch, and Microsoft was like, oh yes, of course we'll bring it over to Switch. Well, where's it at? Where's Black Ops 7? All the Switch players are missing out on Black Ops 7. I'm sure they're really crying about that. Because I remember when Modern Warfare 3 came out, that was the transition period where Activision was being bought by Microsoft, and that's when these comments came out where they're like, "Oh yeah, we're entering this 10-year commitment, and there will be a Call of Duty on the Switch too." And I was like, "What, they want to port the not Microsoft? They're going to port Modern Warfare 3 over?" And they didn't do that. So we're guessing that it's the next Call of Duty title that's coming 2026, I believe, or it's possibly. I mean, if they are going back to a 3-developer system for Call of Duty, Sledgehammer was the one that worked on Advanced Warfare and Call of Duty World War II and Vanguard. And then all of a sudden, it was like, well, no, we're just doing Modern Warfare twice in a row and Black Ops twice in a row. And I think next year is supposed to be a Modern Warfare game, so it's going to be Infinity Ward again. So we might not see a Switch 2 version of a Call of Duty game until 2027 if Sledgehammer is doing their own release for Call of Duty and not just being a helper studio on these things. So once again, it's a wait-and-see type moment. And this has been a long time coming, and it will probably be a little bit longer now. But, Microsoft is just hedging their best. They're like, you know what, we said 10-year commitment. It's already 4 years into this commitment, and we haven't released a Call of Duty game, but we also haven't gotten backlash for it. So, we'll release one game and then be like, oh, the 10 years is up, right? Imagine. Also in Nintendo news, Nintendo is set to acquire a Bandai Namco studio, the one based in Singapore. This studio helped them on Splatoon 3, and they've also made numerous other Bandai Namco games. On the Bandai Namco site, they said, over the years, our studio in Singapore has worked on a variety of iconic game titles such as Tekken, Ace Combat, Soul Calibur, and Taiko no Tatsujin. From concept art and all the way to development, we cover it all. Explore the portfolio of games and demo titles by selecting any of it. Well, now Nintendo's like, I will take that. So they said that it will only have a minor effect on their fiscal results for the year, so I guess that's a good thing as well. And I guess Nintendo liked what they did with Splatoon 3 for what they worked on with Splatoon 3, so maybe they'll be working on an expansion for Splatoon or even maybe the next Splatoon. I guess we'll have to see. So the deal is planned to go through April 1st, 2026. Nintendo is going to acquire 80% of the shares, and the rest will follow in some time after once the subsidiary operations have stabilized. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this is going to be a fine addition to the Nintendo roster of development studios. I don't have anything negative to say about it. Yeah, I think it was a long time coming that one of the studios would come over to Nintendo because Bandai Namco and Nintendo have a pretty strong relationship. So. And finally for today, probably the biggest news, honestly. Xbox and Crocs are teaming up for an Xbox-themed Croc drop. These are coming November 25th. There is going to be a new pair of Crocs on the scene. They are black, jet black, with Xbox written on the inside in green, of course with the little bumpies in there as well. There's going to be almost like a face plate on this one. Instead of the holes being in the top of the Crocs, there's going to be like a face plate that has the Xbox controller buttons on it. So there's a Xbox logo, the share button, the start button, the upload button, X, Y, A, and B, 2 joysticks, and a D-pad as well. All of those are going to be on the Crocs front. On the strap, there's the Xbox logo where the strap connects, and then you can also put your little pins around the hoop that goes around your ankles. So the official Croc, this comes out November 25th. It'll also come with a 5-pack of Xbox Gibbets charms featuring fan favorite iconic characters from Halo, Fallout, Doom, World of Warcraft, and Sea of Thieves. I think that this is a pretty goofy thing. I think that the joysticks, I think, are movable on it, right? I'm trying to look at a video here. Fixed dimensional controller joysticks and buttons, branded Xbox rivets, incredibly light and fun to wear, water friendly, buoyant, blah blah blah. So yeah, I think the joysticks are like kind of movable or something like that. But anyway, these are going to be sold for $80 if you want to check that out. I think it's a bit pricey, but these Crocs kind of tend to be that way. They're using more material because they don't have the holes in the top, right? So it's costing them $20 more to make them. Yeah, sure. So anyway, this is I think it's just a fun little thing to talk about to end off the news section for episode 300. Let's go ahead and move on to what's coming soon. Okay, first up, a new game from the makers of GoldenEye and Time Splitters is called Beyond Words. This is a Balatro X Scrabble type kind of game where you put words onto a board, you get points for each letter, and of course there's special spots you can land on. Of course, with it being a new version of Scrabble, the boards aren't exactly rectangle or square. There's a lot of different goofy things there. There's also power-ups and stuff like that you can get as well to help out. You can also turn your letters into special letters by changing their color and putting special effects on them. So that's where the whole Balatro thing comes from. You're kind of building your word bank. This is coming in early 2026 to Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. In a press release, they said, published by P-Cube and developed by the pair of new studios at Mindfuel Games. It's a word game that fans will be very excited for. Okay, great. Love that. Lots of description there. But yeah, essentially it is what I just said. It's a Scrabble game that has multipliers, has special things, special spots. I think it looks pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of like a mobile game, though. I'm surprised this isn't already a mobile game. But maybe, we'll see. There is a demo available now if you want to try it out. I was planning on trying it out, but I think I'll just go ahead and get this one because I think I like the concept. I like Scrabble. I'm not very good at it, but I like Scrabble. Maybe this will make me better at Scrabble, much like Balatro made me better at poker. If that's a joke. That's a joke. I am not being serious about that. Splitgate 2 is finally coming out of beta again and relaunching in December across all platforms. If you don't recall, they took the game down after a pretty negative reception to the game when it launched. I believe it launched earlier this year. Maybe even it launched. Yeah, I think it launched earlier this year, right? But they went back to the beta phase. They retooled a lot of things, and now the game is finally going to finish that new beta phase and come out on December 4th. The beta season and active battle pass will be ending alongside seasonal rank progression. They're also going to be taking beta servers offline in preparation for the December 4th launch. And they're excited to share more soon. So this is another thing that's kind of been circling around. I think a lot of people forgot about Splitgate 2 because of this whole controversy that was around it, where the people weren't enjoying the game, so no one was really picking it up and playing it. In another blurb, they said, "None of this happened without you." All right, they're just glazing everyone. All right, Splitgate 2 coming back on December 4th. Dying Light the Beast is getting it does have a new update 1.4. What is included in this update? We have New Game Plus mode, which is being added to the game, which means you can replay the adventure while keeping all your gear, all your weapons, and player progression from your first playthrough. And when you start a New Game Plus, the level of challenge increases. There's also going to be a new thing called Legend Levels. This is an endgame progression system that allows you to continue building your character beyond the main skill tree. After reaching level 15, XP you earn converts into Legend XP, which allows you to invest in passive upgrades like more health and better stats, which I like. I think that's a really good idea. There's also been some improvements for the game. They've fixed over 70 graphical issues with fixes to textures, clipping, and misaligned architecture. They also did some gameplay redefining with over 200 new parkour and environmental navigation fixes. And a lot of this was because of input from the community. So yeah. Also, what's going to happen on December 2nd? You will be able to get the Bloody Bowie knife if you log on between now and December 2nd. Okay, so it needs to be soon. Get that knife. There's also double XP happening right now through November 30th if you like that. I really enjoyed Dying Light the Beast. I talked about it a couple weeks ago. It took us a little bit longer to finish it than I was expecting, but a lot of things came out in October, November, so it's not my fault. Yeah, there you go. Dying Light the Beast, new update. I think it's a good one. All right, remember how I said there was a new Star Fox game coming out? Well, it's called Wild Blue Skies. It's very heavily inspired by Star Fox because guess what? Some of the people who worked on the original Star Fox game worked on this one. So Wild Blue Skies, it does feature some R-Wing type ships, a arcade style on rails shooting kind of thing going on, and then there's also anthropomorphic characters who talk to you throughout the levels. The level that they showed off on Humble Games' YouTube channel was this level where they're kind of like flying over a sea or a lake or something like that. and you're dodging not only enemies but falling structures and stuff like that. So it was a pretty cool little demo here. They also showed a boss fight as well. I liked what I saw, so there's that. Yeah, it's very reminiscent of Star Fox, especially like Star Fox 64. I'd say this one really reminds me of Star Fox 64 more than anything else right now. In the press release, they said modern take on the 90s rail shooter from an aerial legend. Developers by Chuhai Labs, the indie studio founded by Giles Goddard, the legendary programmer behind Star Fox, Stunt Race FX, Super Mario 64, and 1080 snowboarding. There's a high-flying adventure. Take control of Bowie Stray and soar through vast environments from scorching deserts to frozen tundras. Cinematic on-rail combat, engaging in thrilling dogfights and take down waves of enemies as you navigate intense cinematic levels. Dynamic environments. Each mission offers unique hazards and landscapes to challenge your reflexes. Stylish visuals and smooth performance. A polished modern aesthetic that channels the spirit of classic 3D shooters. Streamlined systems, slick controls, and intuitive gameplay make it easy to jump in while offering depth for veterans of the genre. And a rewarding progression system. Rack up high scores, complete optional tasks, and discover hidden collectibles as you battle against Grimclaw's forces. The game is primed to come out sometime in 2026. There is no platforms confirmed for it, but we can only guess there's going to be Steam, Switch, YouTube, PlayStation, and Xbox. We'll see what happens once that comes around, probably next year. All right, here are some games being added to the Nintendo Online service. We have Ninja Gaiden 2, The Dark Sword of Chaos. This is on the original NES. You play as the ninja from the 1990s, Ryu Hayabusa, and just continues on from that. Battletoads. I believe we already got Battletoads on the NES. Maybe that was a Super NES version? I don't know, but you get Battletoads on the NES. Then also Kid Icarus, The Myths of Myths and Monsters. This was released in 1991 on the Game Boy, and it was previously unreleased in Japan. And then finally we have Bionic Commando for the Game Boy, originally released in 1992. So that's pretty cool. And then also don't forget that Luigi's Mansion appeared on the service in October 30. I think it came out on Halloween, right? So that is also available to play if you so desire. But yes, there are the November games for the Nintendo Online service. I don't mind the selection, but I also am not like super crazy about it. It's just a fine inclusion, whatever. Here are 6 games that are going to be delisted in December 2025. Some of these are relatively new. We have Blaze and the Monster Machines, Axel City Racers, JoJo Siwa Worldwide Party, The Addams Family, Mansion Mayhem, and Transformers Battlegrounds. All these games are going to be delisted on December 31st. These are all outright games titles. Then also Basaritos Invasion on December 5th, and Road to Exotics on December 31st as well from other studios. These games that I talked about, they're all like $5 to $10 games, especially when they're on sale. The Transformers Battlegrounds game, I feel like that was like was that like a roguelite or something like that? I forget what this one is. Kind of looks like a RTS, actually. I'm surprised they're taking these games down. Maybe they lost the license to the IP and they didn't re-up it. The JoJo Siwa game, that's pretty crazy that's being taken down. I don't think that's like a... I don't even know what the game is, actually. I don't know what the game is. So, the Addams Family might be another IP issue as well. I'm not sure about these other ones, though. So, if you want to check those games out, they're being delisted soon. I don't think any of them will be crazy expensive after they're delisted. They're just OG games and stuff like that, outright games. But, yeah, it's whatever there. And then here are the games for PlayStation Plus Essential Tier members coming December 2nd, I believe. Yeah, December 2nd. We have Lego Horizon Adventures, Killing Floor 3, The Outlast Trials, Sin Duality of Echo of Ada, and Neon White. This is a pretty beefy offering for this month, and I'm actually very excited about this. Neon White is a fantastic game. Everyone should play that one. Killing Floor 3 is fine. Lego Horizon Adventures is bad. The Outlast Trials is a pretty cool co-op horror game, and I don't know what Sin Duality Echo of Ada is, but I'm sure that'll be cool as well. This is the largest offering for Essentials tier that I've seen in quite some time, so I'm very happy that they're adding more of these games, and also like more people are going to play some of these games that are very good, like Neon White. I really liked Neon White a lot. So. And of course, I'm sure a lot of people who didn't play the Lego Horizon game will be happy to be able to play it for no extra cost. But there you go. That'll wrap it up for today, folks. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Let's go ahead and move on to Guess That Screenshot. I'll show you a zoomed-in screenshot, and you'll have to tell me what game it's from. Ooh, it's always from a game that I talked about during the episode, so it's not like Mr. Mosquito during this episode. It's not going to be anything like that. I didn't talk about that game. Let's go ahead and view the screenshot right now. All right, if you know what the screenshot is from, let me know in the comments below on Spotify, YouTube, etc. I'll give you a heart and a congratulations, or come over to the Discord and leave a message in the Ferret64 section, and I will give you a super reaction, and you'll get the admiration of your peers. Thank you so much once again, everyone, for listening. I also run a couple of other things on the YouTube channel, Yemmy the Ferret. Everything else is all at Yemmy the Ferret, whether it be Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, etc. We stream on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays. We are moving into our new themed month, which is going to be Call of Duty themed. I'm going to try and finish all the Call of Duty games that I own, and we'll be doing that all the way through December. I love military shooters. Oh boy! So that's what I'm gonna. That's my goal for December. Call of December is what I'm calling it. So check that out if you so desire. We'll be streaming that all through December. Also, other podcasts I do called Film Freaks with a Z. We talk about movies. The most recent episode is about The Green Knight from 2021, if you want to check that out. And like I said, everything else is all at Yemmy the Ferret, VOD's channel, Ferret64 Clips channel as well is out there now, too. If you want to check that out, snippets from the episodes. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for listening once again. I am Yemmy the Ferret, and I'll talk at you next week. So long. Ferret64 podcast is owned and edited by Yemmy the Ferret. Sound clips included during the podcast were made by Yemmy the Ferret. The Ferret64 logo was made by Player2P2. The intro and outro music was made by Gail Laliot on Fiverr. News sources include PushSquare.com, NintendoLife.com, and PureXbox.com. All opinions are my own. Thank you for listening.